All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Thursday, November 13th, here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All In Horns presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. I am in Orlando, Florida. That is why I am recording in this hotel room, kind of okay, I guess. It's actually a pretty sweet hotel, but yeah, so I'm actually looking at SeaWorld right now, Jake, which is kind of cool. So it's like right by SeaWorld. So, it was the 1 week of the entire year where they've gotten below like 60 degrees, and it was like 38 whenever we landed in Florida. So, like, I don't even
Wow.
get like cool Florida weather. I get like freezing cold weather. Yeah.
Yeah, it must just be cold everywhere right now because it's. I mean, obviously it's been cold here in Kansas City. Supposed to be getting it to warm up for the weekend, so hopefully that comes true. But I had to scrape my car windows the other morning, and that's always
Oh,
just
that's
a not
that's a
not a
brutal.
fun. Yeah, especially when I was already kind of running late and slept in, and then I get up. I'm like, oh, I need to get to work. I go outside and I go, uh-oh, that's not going to just defrost real quick.
Yeah, yeah. You know what will help with that, Jake? Boil some hot water
Oh
and
yeah.
then cook
Yeah,
them.
pour it on the windshield. Yeah, that'll do great. That'll do
Yeah,
great.
in case you need a little life hack, you should try that one out and see how it
Yeah,
works out
maybe I'll
for
just use the frost shield I bought that you put over
you.
it and it keeps it from, or maybe I'll,
I'm trying to save you time is all. Trying to help you out.
yeah, yeah, real stand up guy over there.
All right, Jake, let's get into the episode today. We've got Intel Gate happening for the Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs. We got Billy Napier going into Georgia practices and just a former assistant, by the way, of Kirby Smart. The only win that they got in SEC play this year was against Texas, and it is just like he's over there giving them intel of what worked for Florida against Texas, which is basically going to be hand the ball to Jaden Bow and just let him just run it down our throats. And then you got Arch Manning and Ty Simpson talking to each other. They're exchanging information apparently between Alabama quarterback and Texas quarterback. Alabama obviously beating Georgia earlier this year in Athens, Georgia. So that is a big deal. So yeah, dude, it's just been Intel Gate happening on both ends. Both these two teams, as I prefaced earlier this week, Jake, the importance of this game and these two teams knowing they have to win this. This is a must-win game, and your playoff lives are at stake. Not so much for Georgia in terms of the playoff lives, but to win the SEC championship game, it is.
Yeah, it's important for it's important for Georgia's playoff lives. They still have Georgia Tech left in a neutral site game, and that if they drop that too, if they drop this and that game, they certainly would probably be out of playoffs. Now, you feel like Georgia's going to win that game. They're going to be in regardless of whether they lose this Texas game, obviously. But
It's at so
yeah, no, it's at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, unfortunately. Uh, yeah, they moved that to a neutral field. But uh,
that's lame for Georgia Tech, by the way.
you cut you. I think you have to speak up with your laptop mic.
Oh, I said that's lame for Georgia Tech fans, by the
Yeah,
way, because
but I
last
think
year it was
yeah, and I think Georgia Tech, the school, signed off on it, and so I don't know if that's what's going to be every year. I really hope it's not. It's gross. Games like that should not be at a neutral site all of a sudden when they've always been on the campus. The only neutral site games that should happen are ones like a Texas OU or a Georgia Florida that have always been that way.
It,
And
it would be it'd be essentially this year out of nowhere, Texas A&M going and playing at AT&T Stadium.
ugh, just the thought of that's
It's
gross.
brutal. Yeah, yeah.
And so um but back to the point, for Texas, they have to play like their playoffs lines are staying. Maybe they could win out and be a 3-loss team that gets in. There's been a ton of conversation about what would happen in that scenario. I guarantee you Texas don't want to put their fate in that. Also, you want to keep the momentum rolling. You feel like you're finally starting to hit your stride. You've played your best full game against Vanderbilt, I would say. Obviously, you had a little bit of that made it look close at the end. A little bit of a meltdown in the fourth quarter, though we've kind of talked about how that was assisted. But you feel like the offense has really hit their stride since the fourth quarter against Mississippi State. And so you want to keep that momentum. And this would be a staple win in the Steve Sarkisian era at Texas. I mean, the win at Alabama, because Alabama was, I think, 52-1 at home in their last 53 games when they lost that game to Texas. Well, Georgia's like 52-2 in their last 54 games at home, or something ridiculous, 53-1, something like that. That would be two of the most impressive road wins in the last 5+ years, and both of them would be by Texas. So it's a big opportunity to go in there and it's not only kind of avenge the 2 losses from last year, but put yourself on the map this year as maybe, hey, we started the year number 1, we fell off the map, and now maybe a national title contender again. Because if you beat Georgia at Georgia, you certainly are going to be mixed in that conversation, and it would shoot Texas up the college football playoff rankings as well.
Right. And so that's kind of where I wanted to lead it to, because Texas is now at number 10 in the rankings. And with the latest projected bracket that came out after BYU lost to Texas Tech in not even really close fashion, Texas is now number 10, playing Ole Miss projected as the 10-7 matchup, and then would go on to play Indiana. That's kind of what the bracket is showing after the College Football Playoff Committee released their newest polls. Texas comes out and wins this game, Jade. They shoot up probably to number 5, maybe. I mean, they would shoot up 6, 7-ish range, maybe 5 at the highest. That would also allow Texas a little bit of cushion, is if you go in and you beat Arkansas at home, maybe that gives you a little bit of a cushion as to the Texas A&M Texas game. If you happen to drop that game, that you would still be in, regardless of being a 3-loss team or not.
Yeah, I mean, if Texas wins this game, you would think they're going to jump Tech, and even Ole Miss and Oregon. I don't know who Ole Miss plays this week. Maybe Ole Miss would jump up and be a spot above them. They play Florida, so maybe they'd have a common opponent win. But Texas would have to be like number 6 or number 5. I imagine they would jump Texas Tech, just because then Texas would have 3 top 10 wins at this point.
Yeah, right.
And with 1 at home, 1 in neutral field, 1 on the road, kind of doing the trifecta. And so that would, like you said, that would shoot Texas up the rankings. And then that's where you make the conversation real interesting going into the A&M game of if they lost it. Are they going to drop completely out? Because at that point, if they can take care of business against Arkansas, they very well could be top 5. And would 1 loss to the number 3, somewhere between the number 1 to number 3 team, that's what A&M will be at that time, would that, because they're not going to lose South Carolina or Samford, would that really drop them out? And so this game is really big for Texas. If they lose this game, you feel like the playoffs are the team won't think they're dead, and they won't necessarily be dead, but they'll be reliant on other factors, and they'll feel a little bit dead as a fan, because even if they got in as a 3-loss team, at that point you'd be like, they're probably not going to win 3-4 games in a row to go on a title run. And for Texas, you want to make the playoffs no matter what, but the fan base wants it to be a national title contender along with making the playoffs.
Right. But I mean, at that point, we were looking at this season after the Florida game, Jake, as to how many SEC games are you possibly even going to win at this point in the season? We did, and after Kentucky, it was still, man, Kentucky took us into overtime. And then after Mississippi State, Well, we got away with one in overtime, and we just so happened to kind of get through this easiest part of our SEC schedule, and we're scraping by wins. Vanderbilt comes around, and you play your first home game in 5 months, it feels like, and you just completely dominate that game, essentially from middle of the fourth quarter on. And then now you're looking at yourself, and our conversation is, Jake, this team, if they win this game at Athens, then this team is possibly a top 5 team in the country again, and it may not matter if you win or lose against Texas A&M. You might still have a playoff spot to play. So going from that point to this point, I think Texas fans probably just more relieved, if anything. Now, again, this could be a loss. Arkansas could be a win. Texas A&M could be a loss, and then you're looking at a 5-loss or 4-loss season. And so it would kind of level out to where it'd be like, was this season that great? It was pretty mediocre at the
If
end of
it's
the
8-4,
day.
it'll be a mediocre. I mean, an 8-4 season for Texas at this point is mediocre. The bar's been raised,
Right.
and it would feel mediocre just because you got the big OU win, you got the big Vanderbilt win. Statement I never thought I would say, and then you kind of fumbled it at the end, and so winning at minimum 2 out of these last 3. It really is needed for the season to feel salvaged. I think 9-3, there's going to be plenty of the fan base that'll say it's a complete failure. I think when you consider the way the team has looked, I would consider it a pretty good salvage of a season. Like, they didn't let the just wheels fall completely off. 8-4 is not like the wheels fell off completely. It's not going to like kill recruit. The good news is, unless they just lose out, I don't think the recruiting momentum is going to get killed, or transfer portal momentum is going to get killed, or anything like that. So that's the good news with what they've done with the season. Now we want to see where they take it from here. Is it just a salvaged season, or or does it go in the complete dump if you lose all 3? That's the worst case scenario. Or does this end up being a really special season where the coaching staff and the players kind of fought through every kind of adversity? I mean, if this team makes the playoffs, it will be so much more impressive than the last 2 teams making the playoffs when you consider the flaws, when you consider all the adversity they've had to fight through. It would be the most impressive year of Steve Sarkisian. Now, we could argue about whether those wounds were self-inflicted when it comes to roster management in the offseason. We could definitely argue whether those, but once they're there, they're there. You can't go back into time and redo your roster management during the offseason. But to be able to overcome kind of these major deficiencies at different position groups and in different games at different times, both sides of the ball have shown them. If they're able to overcome that, I would say it's probably Steve Sarkisian's best coaching job. Now, we're still a long way from being able to say that, but all that to say, this Georgia game is just such a grand opportunity for this program to make a statement this season that's like, hey, you guys think we're not as good this season, and this is still what we're doing. Like, this is the new era of Texas football. Even if we don't win a national championship this year, we're saying, yeah, us on our down year has wins against, a top 10 OU, a top 10 Vanderbilt, a top 10 Georgia, and hopefully could roll into that A&M game with maybe potentially another SEC berth on the line. And so this will really determine the excitement for the last 2 games of the season. And it'd be nice to get over that Kirby Smart hump, because obviously that's the one thing Texas hasn't been able to do in the SEC so far, is beat Georgia, which, granted, really no one does outside of Alabama, but Texas wants to be right in that conversation.
Texas' season it's not just a fork in the road. It's like a trident of different paths this Texas team can go with the remaining schedule, the different scenarios in which they're in. And also, Jake, say in the original scenario of Texas wins this weekend over Georgia, you go in, you take care of business against Arkansas, and you're probably a top 5 team flirting with a top 5 matchup against Texas A&M on the final game of the season. According to Notre Dame fans, even if you lose that game, you should still be in the playoffs.
You're gonna get A&M or Notre Dame fans in our comments, but it would make that last game. Kyle Field got to have the spectacle last year, and obviously they pissed down their legs. But I would love for that spectacle to be on Austin this year, and hopefully Texas not do what A&M did last year.
Yeah.
I think that game it could end up being such a. You could have the two most hyped up Lone Star Showdown matchups ever, back to back to start SEC. Start Texas in the SEC.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hey, let's talk a little underdog, Jake. I don't know if we have our all-in-horns picks. I'm going to come up with 2 of them over the break. You come up with 2 of them. See what we come up with, and that's what we're going to go with for this weekend. So, again, with me traveling and stuff, it's been chaotic. Haven't had a lot of chance to talk to each other. So, we're going to get our underdog all-in-horns pick right after this.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games. 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
All right, Jake. I've got my 2 picks, and I'm going to go with I've got Talon Green taking on LSU on Saturday, the Arkansas quarterback, higher than a rushing or receiving touchdown, which would be a rushing touchdown in his instance. And then I'm going to go on Sunday morning football, Miami versus Washington. I'm going to take Devin Achane to go higher than 81.5 rushing yards.
Okay, so I have team picks now, which is exciting. Those got added to the Kansas City area. So I'm going to go Bama minus 3.5 on my underdog entry. And then I'm going to go ahead. I have to, I don't want to do this because it's kind of a big point spread, but I'm going to go Notre Dame minus 10.5. Because after what that Pitt said coach, after what the Pitt coach said, I am just disgusted. And I think that mentality will seep in the locker room and they will get their butts kicked by Notre Dame. Also, I don't think Pitt's a very good team. I expect Notre Dame to probably win that game pretty easily. So give me Pitt minus 10.5 and Alabama minus 3.5.
You might have to, for it to be a full entry, you can't have 2 team picks in the same entry. It's got to be 1 team pick, and then the rest are player picks.
Okay, we'll go Bama minus 3.5, and we'll go Jeremiah Love. Higher than 1.5 touchdowns. I do have the same thing. This is my first time messing with team picks. We're live picking these.
Yeah,
so
we are.
Yes. So
you think Jeremiah Love over 1.5 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, when we've tried to choose easy ones, it's not gone well lately.
You're not wrong.
And they're going to be up. They're going to be running the football. And it's rushing and receiving. He could get a screen pass as well. I think I like that. I like the 1.5. And what did you have?
I had Talon Green against LSU higher than higher than half a rushing touchdown, and I had Devin Achane higher than 81.5 rushing yards against Washington.
I definitely like the Achan one. Miami's a bad team. He's been rolling.
Yeah, he's been on fire. So yeah, I'm gonna go.
This is a pretty good. This is about 10.4x.
This is a big. I've got 10.55.
Oh, you got a little bit slightly better. I imagine odds vary by market. But yeah, hopefully,
Sure.
hey, we're going a little riskier here.
How much we want to put on this bad boy?
I'm gonna throw
At
10.
$10.
I'm gonna throw $10 on it.
$10 gives you 100 around the $100 buyout range. So yeah, I'm gonna do it too. I'm with it.
We got to go a little. I like us doing one that's a little riskier. Our quote unquote safe ones. When you miss on a safe one, it hurts so much worse because you're like, I'm just a loser. Like I picked what I thought was easy and I was just wrong.
No, I'd rather go out on a riskier hit. You also win more that way. But when you and we've gone safe and we don't get it, I feel worse. Way worse.
The only ones we've come close on the All-in-Horns ones, not our personal, but on the All-in-Horns ones, have been riskier. Those are the ones we've come close on or hit. When we have done the safe ones the last few weeks, is trying to get a win. It's been not even close.
Yeah. So I like it too, Jake. I say we go for it. Yeah. All right, it's in. It's done. So all right, there are your all-in horns underdog picks. And yeah, it is officially in. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and we briefly mentioned the playoff standings. Obviously, Texas would be playing Ole Miss in the current bracket right now, and it would be the winner of that game would be taking on Indiana in that. Any other kind of surprises to you? Anything that jumps out in terms of the latest, playoff picture poll?
I mean, other than just Notre Dame making no sense being where they are, not really. I really, normally I make fun of Miami fans that are being jaded on, X. Everything app, it all happens on X. They have every right to be jaded. They're a 2-loss team that is behind Notre Dame when they beat Notre Dame, and their 2 losses are maybe not to really good teams, but Louisville's ranked, SMU's 7-3. It's not like they lost to 2 teams with losing records. That's just the one thing that stands out to me is Notre Dame is just, I don't know how much they pay the committee, but it's got to be a lot for them to be the highest ranked 2-loss team when they probably have the worst resume of every 2-loss team.
Yeah.
And yes, Miami, that's for our mutual friend that called out my segment. Notre Dame should not even be in the top 13.
Yeah, but hey, according to Notre Dame fans, you got to have those 2 good losses, and a loss to Texas A&M and a loss to Miami. Those are 2 of the best losses in all of college football, and that's why you're in right now. So, but yeah, it would be Miami would also be in, and then who was the FBS school that got in?
The group of 5.
Yeah, the G5.
South Florida is currently the one in. The AP has James Madison, but the college football playoff ranking has not acknowledged James Madison yet.
Not even a little bit, yeah. But they do have South Florida, which honestly, Jake, I do think South Florida is a better team. I would give it to South Florida, but that would also put Oklahoma and BYU as the first 2 teams out of the playoffs right now. And Oklahoma, Alabama, Jake, that's going to be a really fun game. I think that's going to be a game where obviously seasons are on the line. Alabama playing for an SEC championship game appearance. They have no losses in SEC play. And then Oklahoma, they're playing for their playoff lives just like Texas is. I mean, they win this game, they've got a very good chance of making the college football playoffs. If they lose this game, essentially their season's done in terms of college football playoffs. Now, I'm not somebody, again, I'm going to go on a mini tangent here. I'm not someone who believes if you don't make the college football playoffs, your season just is meaningless and done. For certain programs, it's a disappointing season. LSU, Clemson, Penn State, absolutely horrible seasons. But if Texas or OU at this point don't make the college football playoffs, I wouldn't say the fact that they didn't make the playoffs wasn't successful. It depends how they finish their season. Now, again, if Texas finishes 8-4 and they lose 2 out of the last 3, yeah, that's a disappointing season. Same thing for Oklahoma. But I mean, you lose to Alabama or you lose to Georgia, and they're the ones that kick you out of the playoffs. I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, it was just a horrible season having a loss to Ohio State, having a loss to Georgia, and obviously the Florida game is a great loss. But those being your only losses on the season, I can't just be like, oh yeah, that's a terrible season for Texas.
Yeah, I mean the Florida loss is just going to be the one that stings. If you don't have that Florida loss, you're sitting pretty right now. And Florida's a bad team this year.
They are. But unfortunately, those types of games happen for every team every season.
Yeah, and Texas avoided that type of loss last year, but this team is just more flawed than last year, and that's why that loss happened. And now they have to win a couple really tough games to overcome that loss. And it starts with Georgia, but this weekend is why Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12 and went to the SEC. Playing against an Alabama, playing against a Georgia, those are the matchups you want to be a part of. And obviously the Georgia ones haven't gone Texas's way yet. They bested Alabama a year before they went into the SEC. So we've kind of been on both sides of it. And for Texas, this is the spotlight's kind of on you. I know game days at Notre Dame Pitt, because you got to get Notre Dame all the spotlight they can get to validate them being a playoff team. Heck, I saw Notre Dame fans non-jokingly saying that even if Notre Dame lost to Pitt and they won out, they should absolutely be in the playoff. I saw that today with my eyes, and they weren't joking. Yeah, just crazy. But these games are why you joined the SEC, and now it's, you got to win these games now. Now other SEC teams will joke at Texas if they lose it and go, oh, you joined for these games, then you lose them, and be like, you've been losing to Georgia and Alabama for 2 decades. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Avoided playing them entirely.
Yeah, with the divisions and one less conference game, which finally getting rid of that finally adding that conference game on, and I'm excited about that because we're consistent about that. Like we said that when we were joined the SEC, before Texas joined the SEC, or we ever knew they were joining, we said how much we hated they played one less conference game.
I sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was saw somebody, an A&M fan, they put, someone had put Texas has played Georgia, 3 times over the last, 3 times over the last 3 years, or 2 years, which would be 3 times more than the University of Texas A&M has ever played Georgia. And so A&M fan chimed in. They were like, well, yeah, we had a decade of playing Nick Saban. And I was like, yeah, which you also lost to 10 times out of 9. 90% of the time you lost. And the 2 times you ever beat Nick Saban, you finished 8-4 those seasons. And you didn't even take advantage of the times you did beat Alabama.
Yeah, or I think they finished like 10-2 the Manziel year. But they ended up winning a Cotton Bowl before when BCS was still around, and it wasn't a BCS bowl.
No, well, they beat Duke in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. So
that was the year after.
Yeah. But
they lost to Alabama that year, or that they beat Duke in the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
And then they won 3-4 years ago, and they finished 8-4 that year, and it's just a mediocre season. Like, you didn't even capitalize on the 1 year you could beat Alabama with Nick Saban, and you still managed to win less than 10 games that season. So congratulations, you choked your season away. But yeah, so that's just a friendly competition. That's just a friendly rivalry going at it. So, but yeah, Jake, tomorrow's episode we're gonna have Texas Georgia predictions, and we'll go down the slate of games throughout the country. A lot of good games, big games. Every week from here on out, Jake, bigger than the last one. Just so many more win, do or die type games, win and go home type games as we wrap up the final 3 weeks of the regular season. So looking forward to it. We'll get that episode out to you as well. And then, we'll have our immediate reaction on Saturday. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That is Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.